Another episode of In the Kitchen with Courtney. I am your host, Courtney. Tonight we will be making my sister's rendition of shrimp and grits. We're going to first get started with marinating our shrimp. The recipe calls for 2 to 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, but I forgot it, so I'm using Worcester sauce. I'm going to go ahead and add that first. I'm just gonna eyeball it, but you start off with 2 to 3 tablespoons if you're not sure. We have 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. We're gonna go ahead and add a little garlic powder. Start off with a teaspoon, and we have onion powder, about another teaspoon as well, and a little Creole. I'm using Tony. You can use any seasoned blend you like. So we're gonna give this a quick stir up to mix it. If you're at home and you're cooking for yourself, you can use your fingers, but I do not want to touch multiple things with shrimpy fingers. So we're doing this first so that we can go ahead and let it sit and marinate. It's gonna sit here and marry in these sauces and seasons and garlic. Stir. And then we're gonna sit to the side. And this is 1 bag of raw shrimp. Got it from Walmart. The $5.32 bag of shrimp. I'm using medium. If you are wanting more shrimp, we're adding other meats. But if you're wanting more shrimp, you can go for the small ones or the extra small ones. Or omit shrimp if you don't like shrimp or you're allergic to seafood. You can still make shrimp and grits without the shrimp. And I'll show you how. So we're going to set this to the side. We're going to take 2 tablespoons of butter, put it in a hot skillet, and we're going to let it melt some. We're going to first saute our vegetables. So I have 1 whole red bell pepper, chopped, and 2 bunches of green onions. So we're going to let this butter melt down some, and then we're going to go ahead and add in our vegetables. We're gonna saute them for like 3 to 5 minutes, and then we're gonna move on to our bacon and sausage. We're using this one skillet, guys. We're not gonna wash in between the different ingredients because we want all those flavors to build up. That's gonna help us build up our shrimp sauce base, so to speak. So we're gonna go ahead and move that around and get my spoon. And I'm going to go ahead and add the bell peppers first because the bell peppers are a little tougher and you want them to cook down faster than these green onions. We're using green onions. If you don't like green onions or can't find green onions, you can always substitute with a cup of chopped white onions. Okay. Turn my eye down. I'm using real butter. If you don't have real butter, if you prefer margarine, you can use margarine, but I'm using real butter for every step that butter is included. And for those of you who did not know there was a difference, there's a difference. So, and once again, this is 1 whole red bell pepper. And so with the shrimp, the sausage, and the bacon, that the other proteins we're adding to this, this is one good meal to feed a family of 4. So you can get 4 good servings out of this dish. And if you don't have to buy the bacon, like if you're one of those people that keep bacon in the house, then you only have to buy the shrimp, the cheese, and the sausage, you're looking at less than $12 with the bell peppers and onions included. So my eye is on medium heat. You don't want it too high because we're just sauteing them. We're not weathering down. We don't want them to overcook. You see how that butter changed colors? We're going to leave that same butter in this skillet when we add our bacon and sausage. Now I'm going to add the green onions. Now these green onions usually run 50 cents. I have 2 bunches and I chopped them up. But the red bell peppers and the yellow bell peppers and the orange bell peppers will run you $1.38. The green ones will run you anywhere from 60 to 70. So keep that in mind. And honestly, you could use green bell pepper, but my sister's, this is her recipe, and she said red, so that's what we're going with. So we're just sauteing it, guys. You can smell it. This is why I really love cooking with bell peppers, especially the red ones and the orange ones and yellow ones, because you get a different aroma from it. And honestly, it tastes about the same, but I guess the pop of color just takes you to a new level. Sauteing, sauteing. And that was 2 tablespoons of butter. If you do not want to use butter, I really recommend butter. If you have some dietary restriction, you can also substitute for the margarine, which is a vegetable-based oil, or olive oil. Okay, look at that. We don't want the green onions to overcook, so I'm gonna get ready to transfer this to another bowl. And then we're gonna go ahead and add our bacon in. And my goal is to get all of the bell peppers and green onions out, but if I cannot, it's okay. Cause when it starts to like cook down, the green onions is already a thin vegetable, a thin plant. They kind of linger on. So if they end up having some leftover in your skillet, don't trip, because I'm not gonna trip. And the reason I recommend using real butter is because it brings in another level, like another layer of flavor. And we're gonna also use the butter to saute our shrimp that we have marinating right now, as well as to build up our sauce. Because if you ever had shrimp and grits, the shrimps are cooked in, I believe, a butter sauce. And it's not like a soup that you pour over, but kind of like you think of your stew. Like it's mostly meat, but it's still that juice. And that juice brings in that extra flavor. See, I'm not gonna fight this leftover bell pepper and some green onions. I'm gonna get as much as I can, but what's left will stay. Okay, so everything else is staying. Like I said, it's okay because we're adding back to this skillet. I have 3 strips of bacon. I cut up into pieces. I'm gonna go ahead and get that cooking first. Remember what I said, bacon is just another flavoring. So unless you have religious or dietary restrictions, you need to add that bacon. Oh, and it smells so good. So we're gonna cook this down first. We want that fat to come from the bacon and before we add the sausage. So this is the way we don't have to add more butter to this or more oil. The sausage will be cooking in a very tasty grease. And I have my stove on medium high. You don't want it up too high because you don't want to burn your bacon. Even though some crispy bacon probably would be really good. I think next time I make this, I'm going to fry a couple of pieces of bacon like real crispy and just crumble over the top. Like, do you guys eat that with your cheese grits? Like, you make cheese grits and then you put your bacon in it? Or that's just a Mississippi thing? Let me know. So we want this to continue to fry. Cause like I said, I want it to get a little crispier. Right now, it still have their full fattiness. I want that fat to render so that when I add these sausages, it's going to cook in the oil that is left over from the bacon. So I'm just going to turn up a little bit. I'm going to leave that right there for 1 second and move all of this stuff over. So I have 1 pack of Hershire Farm sausages. Any sausages you prefer. If you do not eat pork or beef or chicken, they have different options, or you can omit the sausages and just amp up your shrimp. Go for 2 bags. But I know in a lot of Creole dishes that we have our sausage, we have our shrimp, we have our chicken. It's like a whole nother holy trinity. So we're gonna add this sausage once this bacon renders enough fat, and it's getting there. And for it to be shrimp and grits, you think it's a real time-consuming meal. It really isn't. Aside from the prep work of cutting the onions and the bell peppers and the sausage, we're gonna be finished in a minute, or maybe a Mississippi minute. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and add our sausages because the bacon will continue to cook with the other meat that we're adding, and we want to go ahead and get that in. And this is why I say it's a very filling meal, because we have 3 types of protein. Like I said, if you like more shrimp, you can always go for an extra bag of shrimp. If you're on a budget, you can go for the smaller shrimp because it's more in the bag. And add that with some cheese grits. The kids are gonna go to bed full. Like, you may want seconds, but you may not be able to eat seconds. So, and my sister's really fancy when she make hers. I was trying to keep it budget friendly, but she likes to add a pack of Crawfish Tails. So if you're feeling like splurging and you want to go all out, take the same recipe and add, keep everything, but also add a pack of the Crawfish Tails. And you can get that at any grocery store if you go to their frozen seafood department. Cook, baby, cook. I'm gonna turn my eye up some. I want my sausage to get a little crispy. And you see how we don't need to add butter or other oil to cook the sausages, because we have that natural fat already in here. Good, delicious bacon. Because bacon is what? A seasoning. So when your doctor asks you during your next physical, are you eating bacon? Did you cut back on bacon? They're like, I'm not eating bacon. I'm just seasoning with bacon. Guys, it smells so good. I feel like this is a great base for any other dish with those bell peppers and those green onions and this bacon and sausage. You can throw in some tomato sauce and make a pasta. You can throw in some rice, make some type of rice casserole. I feel like there's multiple things you can do with these ingredients as is. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put the top over here. I'm going to let that cook down some. And while that's cooking down, I'm going to do a quick rotation. We're going to go ahead and start making our grits. So the secret to these shrimp and grits is that instead of using water, we're using chicken broth. So we're cooking the grits in the chicken broth. So guys, I am a scratch cook and I like to bake from scratch, but I will admit right here, live on Stream Channel 7.tv, that I cannot cook rice and I cannot cook grits. And I struggle with cooking oatmeal. But we're gonna go ahead and we're going to change spoons. We have our grits. We're gonna follow the recipe. So this is 4 cups of chicken broth. Guys, I cannot stress this enough. Do not add any salt. I know out of force of habit, you're gonna like, oh, I'm gonna throw in some salt because that's what you use. Don't, because we're using chicken broth. And then we're also adding this bacon and sausage and other seasoning. You don't want to oversalt your meal. So we're gonna get our butter because we're gonna add that with the cheese. So make sure you get your broth, your chicken broth, to a boiling point. So it's been boiling. I started it before the show. And we're going to add our grits into it. So this is a 1/2 cup measuring cup. We're going to add 2 of these for 1 cup. Because the recipe calls for a serving of 4, you have 1 cup of grits and 4 cups of water. So this is one time we're not going to play by ear. We're not going to eyeball it. We're going to follow this because I don't want to mess them up. So these are 1/2 cups. 2 halves equals 1 whole. And this is important. This is why we took a break from the sausage mixture. It's cooking down over there, and that's good because you need to pay attention to the grits and make sure you're stirring because you don't want them to stick. You don't want them to clump up. And it may actually be good if you get a spoon like this so that it can have that whipping motion, kind of like a whisk. So this is the moment you just stand up here and stir, stir, stir. Vigorously. And we're going to keep stirring until it starts to thicken up. And when it starts to thicken up, we're going to add our butter and we're going to add our cheese. I'm using 2 cups of Velveeta shredded cheese. If you don't have shredded cheese, you can use sliced cheese. Preferably the Velveeta, not the Velveeta in the pack that you get off the shelf that you make a rotel with, but the one that's going to be in the actual cooler section. So if you have sliced cheese at home that's not Velveeta, use that. Don't go buy no extra cheese. Use what you have to get where you're going. So we're still stirring. I think the simplicity of rice and grits is what gets me. I like stuff with multiple layers and multiple steps. So the fact that you only add like water and your grits and you stir is so simple, I overcomplicate it. But you see it's getting thick, it's thickening up, but you got to keep stirring. Don't stop stirring. Like Dory said, just keep swimming. Just keep stirring. You'll know when it's time to stop and add your cheese because it will be thicker. I'm going to turn that down on low and continue to stir. Stir, 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 baby, stir. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take one break from stirring to kind of saute these on up because we don't want it to stick. And I'm going to go ahead and turn that down on low. See, what happened when you stop stirring? It starts to bubble. And that's when things go terribly wrong. So if you ever got burnt by grits when you cooked it, not when somebody threw them on you, but when you cooked it, it's because you wasn't stirring. So you got to stir or your grits are going to attack you. But you see, it's getting thick. It's getting thick. And my stove is almost up to the highest point. So these are quick grits. These are the instant ones. These not those, old school, slow cooked grits. See, look at it. You see the difference? And we're just going to keep on. Stir, stir, stir. Oh, man. My grandma used to make grits for breakfast. And she used to bake Fry that bacon she should get from the butcher. Oh my God, amazing. So I'm from Mississippi. I live in Texas. So we like Southern through and through. Respond in the comments if you or someone you know and love put sugar on their grits. No judgment, just let me know who put sugar in their grits. Because my cousins, I'm not gonna call their name, they put sugar on their grits and their rice. Crazy, I know, right? I'm like, this is not oatmeal. So we're gonna add a little at a time. And this is 2 cups, guys. And to be honest, if you are not a fan of cheese and you're not a dairy either, omit it. But that cheese take it to a whole nother level. So with 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 cups of cheese. Just move this from that eye. Keep stirring. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this down on low. Cause right now your grits are done. We're just mixing the cheese in. I didn't add any salt. I didn't add any sugar. I just did butter and cheese, and it's gonna be full of flavor because of 1, we cooked it in chicken broth. That's where you're gonna get all your flavor from. And 2, that butter and cheese takes it to a whole nother level. Like during those cold winter months, waking up to some cheese grits. Oh man, that was everything. Okay, your grits are done. These are some perfectly cooked grits. Look at that. You see that? See what happened? You follow those simple instructions. Don't overthink it. I measured out that chicken broth, measured out those grits, and I stirred it. I didn't give up. I stopped for a second, but I did not give up. So I'm gonna move this back to the stove. We're going to take this sausage that has gotten really good brown to it. Yep. Now that may look burnt to some people, but this is how I wanted my bacon to look. I wanted that. Because that's not burnt, that's flavor. That they say that's Cajun. I like that crispiness. So this is the same bowl that we had our sausage in. So we're just going to add it back to here. You don't have to worry about it being like cross-contamination because it's the same meat. It is not chicken. It's good. Oh, yes, that crispiness. You want that different texture in there. Honestly, if I would have thought about it ahead of time, I would have cooked my bacon a lot longer first and then added the sausage. But we have enough texture in here to make it work. So would you guys believe if I told you that we are 2 steps from being done? 2 steps. So this isn't as low maintenance as some of the other dishes, but it is a really great high quality dish that still does not require you to like, you know, go to the moon and back. Like, you can do this. You can make grits, you can, stir, you can chop, you're good. Okay, so we have just a piece of bacon. Oh, I want to eat that so bad, but I will not. We got our eye on medium. We're going to move that back over, and we're going to add the shrimp that's been sauteing. Let's do this. So remember, the first thing we did was saute our shrimp in garlic, Worcestershire sauce, a little onion powder, a little garlic powder, and a little Creole seasoning. And we're going to add more seasonings. So these are the seasonings I'm using. Feel free to use what you like and what you have. Don't go out and buy this seasoning because it was in the recipe. Use what you have and make it work. So I got my eye up. We're going to let this cook for 2 to 3 minutes. Let's say 2 to 5 minutes all together. We're going to flip it in between. So we're going to go ahead and let that cook. And while that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more garlic because you can't go wrong with garlic. And I'm gonna add Old Bay now. Now we're gonna use this same seasoning to when we add everything together and build up our butter sauce, and then we'll be finished. And then we can eat. You know what will go good with this? Some toasted garlic bread. Not the one you buy out the freezer, but those dollar loaves that Walmart has, and you make your own garlic butter spread. This will go good with this. I think it's like French bread. So aside from having to cook the grits separate, there was a one dish meal. I like to cook these type of meals because I don't like washing dishes for one. And two, if you have to cook stuff separately, you don't lose the flavor. So everything that we cooked in this skillet has been cooked on top of each other. So those are different flavors layered on top of each other. Cook, baby, cook. We don't want to overcook them, but we do want them to cook. Now, if you're a type of person who like your shrimp to have like that golden brown kind of crisp to it, you would use more oil and a higher heat to kind of sear it. But it's okay like this. Like I said, we're getting the texture from that crispy bacon and those crispy sausage ends. Who? Okay, respond in the comment. Who does not love like a burnt piece of meat, like a little crisp on it, like those burnt bologna sandwiches we grew up on, or maybe like during the holidays when you're cooking out those burnt hot dogs. My sister and brother love burnt hot dogs, which is good for me because most of the time I burn the hot dogs. Okay. So you know they're cooked. One, they have turned red. That's how you know the difference between a raw shrimp and a cooked shrimp, the color. So they are pink now. They are curved up into that tight C. And we don't want to overcook them, so we're going to go ahead and add some Worcester sauce. I'm just adding a little more. So we have the bell pepper and onion that we sauteed first in the butter. We didn't add any seasoning. We just let them do what they do. See, it's a meal right there. This, if you add some olive oil and then you get some angel hair pasta, boom. You don't took this from a Louisiana Southern classic to international meal. Okay. See? Now this can be served with some potatoes. It can be served over rice. Matter of fact, if you want to do some sauteed cabbage, that's a whole meal in itself. Semi-healthy. And this is why I say it's a very hearty meal. I know we like to, make our dollars stretch and get everybody enough filling. Your kids are not gonna go to bed hungry. They may go to bed disappointed because they want the seconds, but they're not hungry. Cause this is 3 types of protein, got some veggies in there. Sneak those veggies in on the kids as often as you can. And then match with these grits is gonna be amazing. So we have our butter. So we end up using 1 whole stick of butter. We did 2 for these sauteed vegetables, we did 2 for our cheese grits, and then the other 4 will go in to make the sauce. Once again, if you do not eat dairy or just don't want to pay that extra money for butter, because butter, let me tell you guys this. And this is why I was very adamant about explaining the difference between margarine and butter, because I got real old before I realized that Blue Bonnet and that Imperial, it wasn't real butter. Like when I first started, getting into scratch baking, and I wondered why my pound cake didn't taste like my cousin's, because I was buying 88-cent butter and she was buying that $3 butter. It's a difference. Butter's pricey. This is great value and butter's pricey. So the reason we add that butter, because now you got like a sauce. And that sauce is just helping deglaze the pan to pick up all that flavor. And we're going to add, the recipe called for cayenne. I left my cayenne. So in a pinch, I'm going to use 2 tablespoons, no, not tablespoons, bag, no tablespoons, 2 teaspoons of crawfish boil. The crawfish boil won't be as spicy. Cayenne is a pepper. It's a hot pepper. Like a little goes a long way. Kind of like sriracha. So if you have cayenne, you're using that, start off with the 1 teaspoon, taste it, and go back. So we're gonna go ahead and let this butter continue to melt. We're gonna take it off this eye. And we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to plate up and we're going to give it a taste.
Hi, beauties and babes. It's Lonnie Noel.
Beauty Tutorials Unveiled.
We'll be talking about how to master the soft glam.
For the looks that are easier said than done. Watch live and you could be invited on the show to get live feedback on where you go wrong.
If you're anything like me, it is a struggle.
Don't miss Beauty Tutorials Unveiled. Watch live on YouTube. Wednesdays, 9/8 Central on Channel 7. Believe the hype.
What got me is like there and was like, "There's a rat in here. It's you." The acting, but you know what? I know people like that in real life.
What's the word with Kay Hicks?
We've got trivia, special guests, and whiskey.
Pour a glass of whatever you're drinking and buckle up.
What's the word?
What's the word with Kay Hicks? Watch live on YouTube. Wednesdays, 9:30, 8:30 Central on Channel 7. Believe the hype.
It's a strong indication that your partner has issues with commitment, period.
When you've got questions, she's got the answers.
We do have a caller.
But what she says might not be what you want to hear.
The solution to that is Gullah Jack. Gullah Jack tells you plain and simply to just nut the up.
Courtney Unfiltered. Watch live on YouTube and you could be invited on the show. Wednesdays at 10/9 Central on Channel 7. Believe the hype.
Hi. Can I get the now bar, please?
No problem. $1.
Have a good one.
Got it.
Hi, can I get a now bar, please?
$1.
Thanks.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey.
Hey, let me get a now bar.
Sure. $1.
Appreciate you.
You got it.
How's it going?
Can I get a now bar?
Hey, stop right there! Get down on the ground out here, Margarine! Get down! Over your head! Now!
Lyrical Pursuit. Teams will compete, but there can be only one winner. In the game that tests music lovers on how well they know the exact lyrics to some of the most popular songs. Watch live and you can be invited to play around live on Channel 7. Lyrical Pursuit. Mondays at 9/8 Central on Channel 7. Believe the hype.
Hey, I'm DC Paul, and this is Can You Sing?
We know you think you can sing, but can you sing?
How long have you been thinking you can sing?
Get voted in to compete for prize money. Can you sing? Watch live on YouTube. Mondays, 9:30, 8:30 Central on Channel 7. Believe the hype.
America, land of the free. It's at the core of who we are. Freedom. The freedom to live without fear, to drive through all 50 states, to sleep safely in our own beds, the freedom to jog where we please, to watch birds in the park, to wear a hoodie, the freedom to breathe. Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because no matter your religion, gender, disability, age, race, all lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter.
There was a time in my life where I was extremely homesick. I decided that I needed a pet. When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. He jumped up and kissed me and jumped right into my arms. I immediately went up to the volunteers at the shelter and said, I want him. He's got to come home with me. Now I'm anything but lonely. Every day with Turtle is a perfect day and keeps me company when I'm doing schoolwork. I like it when he jumps up on the table too. He is a veggie thief. He's an incredible companion and my best friend. Can't say that I've met anybody that doesn't love him too. When I adopted Turtle, I discovered all the things that make him unique. He's a little bit of a lot of things, but mostly he's all pure love.
Okay, guys, we're finished. So from start to finish, it took about 30-ish minutes. It was one of those dishes you had to stick with, not one of those set and forget it, but it was well worth all the effort. Look at this. We have our sausage. We have that crispy burnt bacon piece. We have our shrimp, and then we have our bell peppers and onions. And this is why we cooked it in that extra butter sauce, because you wanted a juice. So it's just a little juice going around the bowl. So I'm going to taste this for you guys. I know you want to know how it tastes. So I'm going to do it for you, okay? Do yourself a favor. Go out, get you a bag of shrimp. I know you got some bacon in the fridge. Y'all young, so you may not have any grits. Get you some grit and make this. It's so good. This is it. Okay. This is a must. Try it once. You don't like it, something wrong with you. So before I just pig out on camera, guys, come back next Tuesday for another episode where we're going to bring you budget-friendly, low prep meals. Bye.